tell us about the vision and strategic direction of Southside Story.
The way I see it is that Red FM as a brand, and now with the auctions just having got over, with our new frequencies as well, we will be India's largest radio network with 73 stations. So with that being said, as a brand which has a wide geographical spread, we are a nat local brand, which means we're taking local flavors, local ethos, local culture into the national platform. So, and I think so when we are celebrating diversity, when we are celebrating inclusion, cultural celebration or cultural authenticity becomes a part of that journey. So I won't say only Southside Story, but a lot of our initiatives that we do, whether it is the Durga Festival, which is largely meant during the Durga Puja time, celebration of music, food, and culture and literature, to Southside Story, which is a celebration of all of this, what I just mentioned from the South, to a Red Ras, which has been going on for the last 16 years in Gujarat. We're taking it this time to Indore and Pune, which is a Garba music festival, to Igas, which happens in Dehradun, which is a very local festival of Uttarakhand. Now, so we celebrated with a lot of artists, and we get a lot of artists from the hills who moved out now. So we want to collaborate with them and get them back to come and perform, etc. So what we're doing here, Rajesh, really clearly is to celebrate culture. And by culture, it's not just music. The vision of Southside Story is to bring the North and South divide a little close. I mean, to blur those lines. I guess that is our intent, to make it an experiential festival where, I'm very proud to and happy to say that at least 30% to 35% of the audience who come in are non-South Indians. And they come in for the experience. They come in for food experience, literature experience, immersive experiences. The music is very global in that sense. So while, yes, there is a lot of classical music, there is rock, there's fusion, there's hip hop from the South, there is also a huge global influence also which has happened. And I think so the music, I don't think you can restrict it to any particular region. I think it is universally accepted. And that's what we're trying to do. And I feel that a lot of times, many of the regional artists don't get platforms at a national level to come and perform. What we are trying to do is to give them a stage to come out and perform. And as a mass medium, we have the opportunity to create those communities. And that's the whole intention of doing something like this.
Does these kind of cultural festivals help the brand, of course, Red FM, to connect with Gen Zs specifically?
So it does, because I'm saying it's constantly evolving. So for example, so I'll give two examples. One, if you look at the television OTT, your Netflixes and Amazons, etc., the consumption of regional content or regional movies, South Indian films, etc., is much higher. And a lot of Gen Zs consume it, right? That's one example. The other example I'm saying is that if you look at the hip hop scene, even in South, the whole hip hop rap scene has picked up massively. So I'm saying what also happens is that a lot of student community who's living outside their homes and living in cities like Delhi, when such cultural festivals happen, regardless of whether it is a Durga Festival or Southside Story, they all come with their big gang of friends. And we have such a huge student community coming in because they live away from home. And for them, this is a festival which reminds them of home, celebrates it. And for this year, we are 1 week before Onam. So this is a lead up to Onam as well. And people would love to celebrate Onam with us. So yes, I don't think it is. You can still question me and say, maybe the Gen Z doesn't listen to radio. And I can perhaps agree with that. But would the Gen Z connect with on-ground initiatives like this? Yes, of course. Yes, of course. And they want experience. They want new experiences.
All right. So how is the 2025 edition different from the other ones that you have conducted?
It's 1 week before Onam. So definitely we brought in the food experience, which is the Sadhya. which is a festival food menu. So you eat with your hands, and we have 24 dishes, all vegetarian, completely South Indian. So we during festivals, that's what is consumed there. We've had an extension of art and literature. So this time we've tied up with Oxford Bookstore, and we've also tied up with the Kerala Literature Festival. We've invited authors from the South to come and speak about their books, etc. So that is a literature angle. The scale is much bigger this time from when we started. It's 2 days, 10 artists, much bigger venue. We've got classical music, classical dance this time. So we've got the Padma Shri, Padma Vibhushan, we've got Shobna, the actress and the dancer. So she's performing, and that's the first time for us where we've taken Bharatanatyam as a dance form to be a part of the stage and part of Southside Story. So all of that and the immersive experience, we are trying to see if we can have food experiences, even as a lead up, as a marketing plan, and as a lead up to Southside Story. So there is a lot beyond idli and dosha, and there's so much more South Indian food. So we want the audience to understand that and experience that. So that's not just at the day of the festival, but even before that, we, as a lead up, a month before, we've tied up with our partners, Dakshin Canteen and Mahabali, to host these food socials. They're called Southside socials, for people to experience and things like that. So that's what's different. Yes, more not so basically in one word or in one line. It's not just an only music festival. We are extending cultural celebration to art, to literature, to food, to immersive, to all forms. We've even had Bharat Bala, the cinematographer, filmmaker, be a part of this initiative as well. And we've been featuring some of his work of films that he's made from the South. We've been featuring that. We've got Nether. Nether is this brand which was at Met Gala, the blue carpet, where they've hand woven carpet at the Met Gala this year, the blue carpet with stars. So they are part of our festival here, and they're showcasing some of their artworks, etc. So I guess, which is what I'm trying to say, saying that, whether it's art, whether it's literature, whether it is music, whether it is folk forms, whether it is global influence, whether it is rap, whether it's fusion, we've got them all covered. We've tried to cover them all. It's been a humble effort, but yeah, I think the response has been overwhelming. So we're going in gusto.
According to you, how relevant it is to portray the regional storytelling in a mainstream media like Red FM?
I think it's very important because who is doing that today? And I think I purely see a certain erosion there, because especially if you look at traditional media and you look at broadcast media, largely radio and television, radio is largely music. At the same time, if you look at television, it's news or it is GC. So which platform today really celebrates culture? And because we are FM and because we are present in so many cities and because we are a Nat local brand, I guess this allows us to take it up and celebrate. And it's worked well for the brand. I'm saying that, it as a brand, we are a brand with a purpose. Yes, on one side, we're a provocative entertainer, but we're also a brand with a purpose. We're also a brand which wants to give newer experiences. We're also a brand which celebrates, and it is not always that there is a problem. Every time we look, there's always a problem happening. We want to make people feel good, as simply as I put it, to experience what we offer them in whichever way we can. And I just thought that the regional space is the growing space. So from a business point of view as well, if you look at it, outside the metros, it is the smaller markets which are actually growing. Right? So whether it is UP, whether it's MP, whether it is East, smaller markets, they're the ones who are actually growing. So our tier 2 and tier 3 towns are actually growing. That's where the growth of the business growth is also coming from. And we've taken cues from that and also feel that, and it's worked for us. It's worked for us. So that's how it's moving. Yeah.
Would you like to tell us about the advertising revenue that you might be expecting?
I mean, we've got excellent support. I mean, from Royal Enfield. which I think every South Indian, I mean, of course, it's more a national brand, but definitely South Indians have a great connect there. To Morpheus, who's the brandy Morpheus, which is our key partner. Royal Enfield is our partner. We've got Reliance Digital. We've got Muthoot Group. So I'm saying there are a lot of groups which have come together to support the initiative, and they are brands who've chosen. I mean, it's from a marketing perspective, it is targeted to this key audience, right? So they get this audience. So at one point when we started off 7 years ago, we were aiming at not more than 1,500, and that too we thought was ambitious. So today, when we are expecting 12 to 15,000 crowd, I'm just saying, so that's a pure targeted audience that we're looking at. So all these brands have been supportive, and they have come forward supporting these brands. I mean, supporting the initiative. So yes, I mean, I think it's largely a sponsorship-driven model for us.
Yeah, moving on to radio. Actually, radio has somewhere lost its identity in the recent years, specifically after podcast and audio streaming in. So, how do you think Red FM is making the change over there?
So one, we are not radio anymore.
Hmm.
We also do so much more. So from a brand and a business point of view as well, there are multiple verticals that we have developed, whether it is events, whether it is digital, whether it's influencer marketing, podcast. So I think that's one part as far as the business is concerned. The other thing I think is more regulatory, where the government is looking at bringing in certain reforms. Association of Radio Broadcasters of India has given in some recommendations as well. I mean, what we're requesting the government and the policymakers is also to say that please allow the TRAI recommendations to be accepted or implemented, because that will be a huge reform package for the radio industry, and also allow radio on mobile phones. Right? I think that is extremely important. So we are hoping, we're getting to hear that, yes, the government is looking at it and is serious about radio reforms and want to bring that implemented as soon as possible. So we're hoping for that. So I would say that, at some point we need some sort of a reform package as an industry to make it a level playing field. We're the tiniest industry in the M&E sector. We've been oscillating between 2,500 to 2,200 crores for the last 10, 20 years. It's not moved. That needle has not moved. So the ad pie is also shrinking. So I'm just saying the only way the industry can survive would be with a reform package, which we are hoping that the minister is keen. Tomorrow, if there is a calamity or a disaster, or when Operation Sindoor happened, for example, the emergency kit spoke about having a radio set, because your mobile phones won't work. So it's your radio set through which you get your information. But where are the radio sets available in the market? So I'm just saying radio becomes a very, very critical source at the time of disaster, or even otherwise, to give away information, because come disaster, come floods, come cyclones, etc., everything else fails. All electronic items fail, all data fails. What works? Radio works, because we're talking terrestrial, right? And therefore, for a country like India, I think FM still should be relevant. Yes, there are talks about digital radio and getting digital radio into the country and things like that. But I guess radio as an industry is an important industry. It's a very effective industry. Also, I think we need to ensure that it reaches to all parts of the country. Right now, I think we reach only to less than 50% of the overall audience. Right? We were talking about some 40 million listeners, tentatively, All India Radio, private FM put together, and community radio put together. We are talking about some 40 million listeners, which is about 400 crores of listenership, which I would like to assume that is perhaps one of the largest listenership in the world. But in spite of it being the largest listenership in the world, we are still not 50%. We still do not cover 50% of our population. Right. And I think that is where the policymakers, the government needs to look at it and see how they can ensure that radio reaches to the nook and corner of the country. And it can be with community radio, a mix of community radio, commercial radio, All India Radio, all put together. But it is important. It is a very important tool. And I don't say it because I'm heading a company, but a radio company, but I say it as a radio evangelist, saying that radio is a very, very powerful tool, and in times of crisis and otherwise, and in media dark areas, where you still have very limited media penetration, radio is one of the biggest tools that can be.
Speaking of this, where do you see the future of media, this medium specifically, in the era of this short form content that we are seeing all the times, YouTube
So
Shorts
we
and
still do, Rajeshwari. We still do short form content. I mean, I don't like at radio. If you listen to any of the radio stations, any of them, and I say it on behalf of the industry, I'm just saying it is short form content to a large extent. Of course, you have storytelling and all of that, but still, I think the relevance. It's all about storytelling. This whole game is about storytelling now, and I do feel that as part of storytelling also, we do short form content. But what is the future? As I said, we're hoping that news and current affairs is allowed on radio. We're hoping that radio comes on mobile phones. We're hoping that the government will come with a reform package to stabilize the radio industry, because we've completed 100 years in the country as an industry, right? And I don't think in a country like India, I think we'll still continue for the next few decades. Maybe our form of broadcast may be different. Maybe we may be from terrestrial, we may move to digital, or it may be terrestrial plus digital, right? But then radio is here to stay. I still do not believe it's very fashionable to say that radio is dead and gone, but I'm not ready to accept it as yet.
Thank you so much, Nisha.